But I've played this game before. Well, yes, I have. There's a few differences. One, this one's modded. Um, Mostly for textures, body shapes, clothes, walls, improving the visuals in some spots. No real gameplay stuff. Um, a couple of minor interface things, like being able to sell one out of a stack without having pop-up boxes to deal with that. But also, when I played through Morrowind, Oblivion, and Skyrim as Kaelin, Kaelin is a very narrow approach to what are very broad games. There is a vast amount of content that she never engaged with, either intentionally or just because that's not something she would ever bother investigating. So I didn't bother going looking for it. But there's a lot out there to be found. Little things here and there, but lots of quest lines and guilds and factions, and there's just so much to cover in this, so much to do in this game, not cover, but do in this game, that she just wouldn't. And I don't know that I've ever actually finished a completionist attempt. Mostly because if I put it down and go play something else, I will forget what I did and where I left off, because the journals aren't perfect in helping keep track. But I figured, let me give a completionist run a shot and see how that goes. It'll certainly keep me busy for a good long time. And there are still a few things that I've yet to try. There are some ways I approach this that aren't going to be worked around, just because they're more effective and buy me more time, more levels anyway. I'm gonna have to recheck the sound balance.
They have taken you from the Imperial City's prison, first by carriage and now by boat. To the east, to Morrowind. Fear not, for I am watchful. You have been chosen.
Wake up. We're here. Why are you shaking? Are you okay? Wake up.
Yet sainted Jib.
Stand up. There you go. You were dreaming. What's your name?
I was being creative. It'll definitely remind me of what this one's for.
Not even last night's storm could wake you. I heard them say we reached Morrowind. I'm sure they'll let us go. Quiet. Here comes the guard.
This is where we get off. Come with me.
Yeah. Actually, you know, might as well select run, because I know speed's on the list.
This is where they want you. Head down to the dock and
You
I'll
never
show you
let
to
me
the
jump
center.
off.
You finally arrived, but our records don't show from where.
As much as my standard gameplay revolves around sneak and snipe in both Oblivion and Skyrim, I've never really tried to make it work in Morrowind. My best friend and I both love Morrowind and avoided archery in it for similar reasons. I came into Morrowind from Arena, where using a bow is a fool's errand at best and infuriatingly bad at worst, and the mechanic was similarly troublesome for Daggerfall, which is where he came into it from. I never had a computer that could run Daggerfall when it was a current game, and now, well, I have it, but, you know, I can't actually capture the DOSBox content of earlier games I tried, and it wouldn't capture, otherwise I'd start from the beginning. With the old ones, with both old graphics and some really weird mechanics. But I have never tried sneak and snipe in this. Sneak to some extent, intermittently, but not snipe. So I don't know how well the marksman skill works. And if I'll just abandon it for short blade, because DPS, the best weapon in the game for that, is a Daedric Wakasashi, and I know that. So, and I prefer speed over damage per strike. So, short blade is kind of the go-to otherwise. But I didn't do it with Kaelin, but the way I also typically build a character is my 5 primary skills are all at 30, nothing has a bonus. My secondary skills are all at 15, nothing has a bonus. Everything with a bonus is not a class skill, because that gives me room to make more levels. So I'm gonna start as a little Bosmer, and you can tell from the character art that, yeah, modded, because the faces and the hair, but this little druid-looking Bosmer setup. Because I'm gonna get bonuses to the stuff that those aren't going to be class skills at all, but they're going to be what I'm going to want to use later. But I'm going to be a short
Great.
little thing.
I'm sure you'll fit right in. Follow me up to the office and they'll finish your release.
And yeah.
Yes, we've been expecting you. You'll have to be recorded before you're officially released. There are a few ways we can do this, and the choice is yours.
Yeah, let's be honest. So, those are stealth skills, so get the bonus there. Endurance and luck. Luck because you never get a multiplier when you're leveling it, so every step up is fewer levels you have to spend training it. So none of these skills, and not alchemy, because that's also a racial skill. But first I'm just gonna gonna end up having pretty much all the magics, or all the ones that give spells. Just because if I can start with spells from them. But what I really want... Heavy armor is probably the better way to go. Medium is less heavy, and I won't be able to carry anything heavy. But I know the Fighters Guild cares about at least heavy, if not also medium. But the other thing I've never done that I want to try and do is go all the way through Redoran. I've never been House Redoran. I've started it. I've never gone through House Redoran. I've always ever just been Hlaalu, because it's right there in Balmora, with the exception of Kaelin, because of course she'd be Telvanni. At least they stay the fuck out of her way. So it's gonna be a kind of weird side bit, but yeah, I'm gonna try and go all the way through Redoran just because I've never done that before, just for my own sake of completionism, because at least now I've done the other two houses. But there's also you end up completing endurance first, and I'm gonna end up needing one or the other of these. I guess I'll go with that now, where I actually want them. I don't care so much about having spells for you yet. Because you don't get a starting spell with them if they're not at least a certain level. So I try to make use of what I know about the system before I ever get anywhere, hence why that. And the endurance, because you get fewer hit points if you don't have that as high as possible as soon as possible, which is why it's the first one I go to max out, and it's in every level until it's done. Yeah, I go through and alphabetize them because it bugs me if I don't. So I go through and do that. Not that it ends up mattering, but it bugs me if I don't. But I think that's right.
Very good. The letter that preceded you mentioned you were born under a certain sign. And what would that be?
A lady. Because that, but also this gets me the most towards having all the stats. But that one. None of the others are that important. At least not right now.
Interesting. Now, before I stamp these papers, make sure this information is correct.
And, yep. All 30s and 15s. And then, oh look, all the other stuff. You see, even now, Marksman and Sneak are still starting off higher than my secondary class skills. So, but yeah, no, my feeble little arms can't carry much. Not particularly resistant against magic. They're fast little buggers. And that's fine.
Show your papers to the captain when you exit to get your release fee.
But there's a lot of... Yeah. I've already done that.
Continue through to the next building and talk to Celisgravius.
Now, there's a lot of also just looting and killing of people that I didn't do with Caitlin, because no. But all this stuff... also things that I know I'm going to need for quests later on. I do specifically collect and save for later. I hate that sometimes the sound is inconsistently loud. Yeah, like that. That's just a quirk in the system that I have. I'm used to. I don't like it, but I am accustomed to it. But I avoid stealing from merchants because anything they sell, whether or not it's an item you took from them, you cannot sell back to them, and that's a pain in the ass to keep track of. So, if I'm going to steal from a merchant at all, I will only steal things that they do not buy or sell, so that I can't end up with a problem now. But anyone that isn't plot relevant for a quest or something, you can be killed and looted. There's a few people in town that qualify for that. I've still never done that in Morrowind. So, yeah, that still needs to happen.
I have a feeling that you and I are about to become very close.
Honey, you wish. But just a nice short little start in what I'm thinking going back through a game that I've already recorded gameplay for. And, you know, I'll get to looting the town next time.